Welcome to Storytime with Double0 Kills. Today we're going to read Horton Hatches the Egg, the Dr. Seuss book I have long enjoyed as a kid growing up. Horton Hatches the Egg by Dr. Seuss, a Random House book company thing from New York. There we go, Random House, New York. Sighed Maze, a lazy bird hatching an egg. I'm tired and I'm bored and I have kinks in my leg from just sitting here day after day. It's work. How I hate it. I'd much rather play. I'd take a vacation, fly off for a rest, if I could find someone to stay on my nest. If I could find someone, I'd fly away free. Then Horton the elephant passed by her tree. Hello, called the lazy bird, smiling her best. You've nothing to do, and I do need a rest. Would you like to sit on the egg in my nest? The elephant laughed. Ha ha, why of all silly things? I haven't feathers, I haven't wings. Me on your egg? Why, that doesn't make sense. Your egg is so small, ma'am, and I'm so immense. Tut tut, answered Mazia. I know you're not small, but I'm sure you can do it. No trouble at all. Just sit on it softly. You're gentle and kind. Come, be a good fellow. I know you won't mind. I can't, said Elephant. Please, begged the bird. I won't be gone long, sir. I give you my word. I'll hurry right back. Well, I'll never be missed. Very well, said the elephant, since you insist. You want a vacation? Go, fly off and take it. I'll sit on your egg. I'll try not to break it. I'll stay and be faithful. I mean what I say. Toodaloo, sang out Maisie, and fluttered away. The first thing to do, murmured Horton. Let's see. The first thing to do is prop up this tree and make it much stronger. That has to be done. Before I get on it, I must weigh a ton. So you see, he props it up with these perfect Y things. Then carefully, tenderly, gently he crept up the trunk to the nest where the little egg slept. If you ever wanted to see an elephant climb a tree, now's your chance, guys. Horton's a pro. Horton's a pro. Then Horton the elephant smiled. Now that's that. And he sat, and he sat, and he sat, and he sat. And he sat all that day, and he kept the egg warm. And he sat all that night through a terrible storm. It poured and it lightened, it thundered, it rumbled. This isn't much fun, the poor elephant grumbled. I wish he'd come back, 'cause I'm cold and I'm wet. I hope that Maisie bird doesn't forget. But Maisie by this time was far beyond reach, enjoying the sunshine way off in Palm Beach, and having such fun, such a wonderful rest, decided she'd never go back to her nest. So Horton kept sitting there day after day, and soon it was autumn. The leaves blew away, and then came the winter, the snow, and the sleet, and icicles hung from his trunk and his feet. But Horton kept sitting and said with a sneeze, I'll stay on this egg and I won't let it freeze. I meant what I said and I said what I meant. An elephant's faithful, 100%. Okay, I'm just going to take a moment here, people. Your word is your bond. Okay? Your word is your bond, and this elephant gets it. He said yes. He didn't have to promise. He didn't have to pinky swear. He didn't have to vow on his mother's grave. He said yes. And there he is. Through the tough times, through the troubles, through the trials. 100%. So poor Horton sat there the whole winter through, and then came the springtime with troubles anew. His friends gathered round and they shouted with glee, "Look, Horton the elephant's up in a tree!" They taunted, they teased him, they yelled, "How absurd! Old Horton the elephant thinks he's a bird." Oh, that's not very nice. Some friends, huh? They laughed and they laughed. They all ran away. Then they all ran away, and Horton was lonely. He wanted to play, but he sat on the egg and continued to say, "I meant what I said, and I said what I meant." An elephant's faithful, 100%. No matter what happens, this egg must be tended, but poor Horton's troubles were far, far from ended, for while Horton sat there so faithful, so kind, 3 hunters came sneaking up softly behind. He heard the men's footsteps. He turned with a start. 3 rifles were aiming right straight at his heart. Wow. Wow. Did he run? He did not. Horton stayed on that nest. He held his head high, and he threw out his chest, and he looked at the hunters as much as to say, "Shoot if you must, but I won't run away. I meant what I said, and I said what I meant. An elephant's faithful, 100%. Wow. Wow. But the men didn't shoot. Much to Horton's surprise, they dropped their 3 guns and they stared with wide eyes. "Look!" they all shouted. "Can such a thing be? An elephant sitting on top of a tree? It's strange. It's amazing. It's wonderful. New. Don't shoot him. We'll catch him. That's just what we'll do. Let's take him alive. Why, he's terribly funny. We'll sell him back home to a circus for money." And the first thing he knew, they had built a big wagon with ropes on the front of the for the pullers to drag on. They dug up his tree, and they put it inside, with Horton so sad that he practically cried. "We're off!" the men shouted, and off they all went, with Horton unhappy, 100%. Now I want you guys to notice something. I want you to see something here, and this is another important thing to understand. With Horton unhappy, 100%, but did he move from his commitment? Did he leave what he had promised he would do? He did not. Just because he wasn't happy, just because he didn't like it, just because it wasn't fun, that was no excuse for him to run. Unlike that bird. Thank you very much. Up out of the jungle, up into the sky, up over the mountains, 10,000 feet high. Then down the mountains, and down to the sea went the cart with the elephant, egg, nest, and tree. Then out of the wagon and onto a ship, out over the ocean, and oh, what a trip! Rolling and tossing and splashed with the spray. And Horton said day after day after day, "I meant what I said, and I said what I meant, but oh, am I seasick, 100%. Those little X's right there. Can we get in? Can we focus, camera? Okay, well, you can see it anyway. There we go. There it is. After bobbing around for 2 weeks like a cork, they landed at last in the town of New York. "All ashore!" the men shouted, and down with a lurch went Horton the elephant, still on his perch, tied onto a board that could just scarcely hold him. Bump! Horton landed, and then the men sold him. sold to a circus. Then week after week, they showed him to people at 10 cents a peek. They took him to Boston, to Kalamazoo, Chicago, Weehawken, and Washington too, to Dayton, Ohio, St. Paul, Minnesota, to Wichita, Kansas, to Drake, North Dakota. Hey, I used to live in North Dakota for a long time. I was born and raised there. And everywhere thousands of folks flocked to see and laugh at the elephant up in a tree. Poor Horton grew sadder the farther he went, but he said as he sat in the hot, noisy tent, "I meant what I said, and I said what I meant." And elephants, faithful 100%. The people loved him, though. He sure was popular. What a thing to see. What a thing to see. Then, one day, the circus show happened to reach a town way down south, not so far from Palm Beach. And dawdling along way up high in the sky, who of all people should chance to fly by but that old good-for-nothing bird, Runaway Maisie, still on vacation and still just as lazy, and spying the flags and the tents just below she hang out. What fun! She sang out, "What fun!" while I'll go to the show. And she swooped from the clouds through an open tent door. "Good gracious," gasped Maisie, "I've seen you before." Poor Horton looked up with his face white as chalk. He started to speak, but before he could talk, there rang out the noisiest, ear-splitting squeaks from the egg that he'd sat on for 51 weeks. A thumping, a bumping, a wild, alive scratching. "My egg!" shouted Horton. "My egg! Why, it's hatching!" "But it's mine!" screamed the bird when she heard the egg crack. The work was all done, now she wanted it back. "It's my egg," she sputtered. "You stole it from me. Get off of my nest and get out of my tree." Poor Horton backed down with a sad, heavy heart. But at that very instant, the egg burst apart. And out of the pieces, a red and white shell, from the egg that he'd sat on so long and so well. Horton the elephant saw something whiz. It had ears and a tail and a trunk just like his. Yeah. Oh, I hope you guys know where this is going. And the people came shouting, "What's all this about?" They looked, and they stared with their eyes popping out. When they cheered, then they cheered, and they cheered, and they cheered more and more. They'd never seen anything like it before. "My goodness, my gracious," they shouted. "My word, it's something brand new. It's an elephant bird. And should it be? It should be. It should be like that, because Horton was faithful. He sat and he said. He meant what he said. And he said what he meant. And they sent him home happy. 100%. This speaks to so many levels, and I'd be remiss if I didn't touch on them just a moment. This elephant's dedication to his word, to his promise, and again, like I said, it wasn't a vow, it wasn't anything more than him saying he would do something and not relenting or giving up just because it was hard. I applaud Dr. Seuss for writing a story about somebody who sticks to their guns and to their word in the face of adversity. When he easily could have quit, nobody would have blamed him. That's fantastic, and something I really believe impacted my life a lot as a kid. because I heard this story a few times. We had it on a record, and I would listen to it, and I liked it a lot. But what I also think, and I mean, what are the... Here's what I also think. The fact that this egg hatched with an elephant bird. Let's just talk for a minute about adoption here. The bird was genetically a bird, obviously. It was an egg. It was a bird. But in the story, it comes out an elephant bird because the elephant took the time to actually care for it and be its parent, right? Like adoption. Like those who are adopted and cared for and loved and brought into a family, and while they're technically not genetical family, they are family. Just the same. They're part of that group. They're one of them. Not something totally different. But still, the genetic makeup still carries with it the biological parent, the bird. And I really think that if you're a kid and you read this book and you're adopted, there's got to be a part of you that looks at that and says, yeah, they belong together. They are a family. A biological mom will always be a biological mom, but a mother and a father are not defined just by birth, but by caring and loving, by being there when things are not easy. So yeah, that's what I have to say about that. I love that story. I love it. I do. And I hope that you love it just a little bit too. This has been Storytime with Double0 Kills. We'll see you next time.